Hello faithful viewers and welcome back to another review. This time we're looking at the Star Wars Black Series for Clone Wars Ahsoka Tano Padawan figure that has just come out. However, before we look at the figure in earnest, we will put her aside and take a brief look at this controversial packaging. So this is an experiment that Hasbro has done recently of plastic-free packaging. Now, from the offset, it looks pretty good. Nice artwork, well, it's not artwork, but a nice photo of the figure on the front there. You can see that this line is coloured yellow. On the side, you've got the mural artwork as per usual. That's a little bit off, though. That's not the most flattering image that they could have done of her. On the back, you've got the same image as on the front, and you've got it reading, Ahsoka Tano, the young Togruta, was the Padawan learner to Anakin Skywalker and a hero of the Clone Wars. She's number 13 in the line. You've got a profile of her on the side here, which says that she is 5.6 inches tall. The two lightsaber accessories that she comes with, plastic-free packaging except tape and glue. And then that's that. It's controversial because it means that she's not very secured in the package. She's literally wrapped in like paper. And repackaging her, if I were to ever sell her on, that'd be a pain in the backside. So yeah, this type of packaging, as nice as it looks on the outside, it's not that good. So let's take a look at Ahsoka then. I think this is my favourite design that Ahsoka has ever had in the history of the character. It's just a really nice overall look for her. If we take a look at that head sculpt, it's, you know, it's an amicable job at translating an animated character into like a semi-realistic kind of look for her. She has had a representation in live action of this age that she was here now in the Ahsoka show, which was, you know, really spot on as well. But yeah, this is an overall really nice look. Once again, like with my Hera figure, the face painting isn't quite top notch. Unfortunately, I think she's looking off to the side ever so slightly, so that's a little bit disappointing, but it's not too noticeable, fortunately. So yeah, really nice orange skin with the facial tattoos on point. You've got the Liku hanging down at a good length there, and that's, whoa, and she fell over. Not the most stable figure in the world. The montrals are nice and sharp, which are the horns on top of her head, basically. She's got the Akla tooth headdress there, which she discards upon leaving the Jedi Order. And she even has, I believe, her Padawan braid hanging down right there. So that's a really nice detail. Coming to look at the Jedi tunic, it is sleeveless as it should be. You've got the boob window there, and then you've got the backless cutout right there as well. Nice sculpting for her shoulder blades right there as well. So that's pretty good. And then she's got the armbands, which she sports in the latter seasons of Clone Wars 2. So that's really good detail as well. She's got her fingerless gauntlets there. Coming down to look at the lower part of the figure, she's got the cross double belt that she sports through seasons 3 through 5. Those little tube bits there are kind of like food pouches in a way. She's got her Togruta sash going on there. They're the points for equipping the lightsabers. She's got a little kind of utility pocket kind of thing at the back of her belt there. Her skirt falls around about the length that you would expect from this design of the character. It's got cutouts on the side there to allow the spread articulation. Coming down to look at her leggings, they are patterned in a way that would suggest cutouts there, showing the skin of her legs. And they are, you know, sculpted accurately to how it was in Clone Wars. And then the boots, you know, they're detailed as you would expect as well. They are knee-high. You've got little golden clasps right there. And yeah, just overall, this is a really beautifully sculpted and painted figure. top marks. Let's draw our attention to her accessories. So she only comes with her lightsabers, and they are sculpted really nicely. In fact, I think the paintwork on the handles themselves here is actually better than the Siege of Mandalore version, which we have previously looked at on the channel. You've got the nice little black line going through the centre there. You've got the ports that clip onto her utility belt that allow her to hang the lightsabers. And yeah, you've got just all the little bits of detail there that you would expect, along with the activator matrix right there. And then obviously she's got green blades because this is her from the middle of the Clone Wars. Same goes for her Shoto here. A little bit of non-accuracy. It's the same colour green as the main lightsaber here, when in reality her Shoto was kind of more of a yellowy green. But oh well, that's just nitpicking. And then the Shoto handle here doesn't have the same level of craftsmanship like the main blade. It's missing these bits at the like the pommel, not the pommel, but the that part of the handle. My words are failing me, you know what I mean. But that's actually accurate to how it looks. It's not meant to have those bits. But yeah, it's obviously it's smaller than the main handle, and yeah, pretty good. The blades can obviously be taken out. Then you can appropriately pop these in just by pushing them in to those bits there. And they have very nice and secure fits. And they look pretty good just hanging there. Like with a lot of modern Black Series lightsabers, the bases of the blades are sculpted in a way that there is only one particular way that you can put them back in their respective handles. So that just minimises the possibility of breaking these. So if we just pop them back in there, just like that, very snug. Now, one thing I should point out about this figure is that she doesn't hold her lightsabers particularly well. Now, this main blade isn't really the problem. She kind of holds this as securely as you would expect. It's the Shoto, and it's just because of the way that her left hand is sculpted. Her palm and her fingers are splayed, kind of more like she's manipulating the Force than she is a lightsaber. Then this unfortunately leads to this being really, really loose in her hand, and it doesn't take a lot for it just to pop off. So just beware, this lightsaber in particular, you're very likely for her to drop it, and if you're not careful, it might get lost. In terms of articulation, Ahsoka's head is theoretically capable of doing 360 degrees. However, because of the nature of her Liku, she is greatly hampered in that. So she can turn her head that far that way and that far that way. She can look down. She can't really look down, and she can't really look up either because of the Liku along her back. That's quite disappointing, considering that the Siege of Mandalore version had greater head articulation. And plus, she, along with newer Black Series figures, also have these individual neck articulation points. So when you rotate her head, you do risk moving her neck out of position as well. But the way that this is, with the Liku just getting in the way, kind of means that that neck point is utterly useless. So really quite bad head articulation, unfortunately. At the shoulders, she is capable of doing a shrug, weirdly, but that's because of the butterfly joints that she has in the shoulders. So there's a little bit of inward and outward movement. She can move her arms up only about that far. They can rotate at the shoulder 360 degrees. You've got elbow articulation of swivel of 360, and then you've got a 90-degree bend there. And then the wrists can go up and down on that one, and that is the same on this one. They go up and down as well. Now, in terms of the torso, she's got a 360 degrees rotation right there. And in terms of an ab crunch, she can only bend forward about that far, but back a ridiculous amount. That's quite impressive. Nothing at the upper torso. I suppose they didn't introduce anything there, so they didn't break up this sculpt work going on here, which I can understand, but it is also a bit disappointing because I'd have quite liked to have seen something with the Liva Jaina Solo figure that has a ridiculous amount of articulation in there. But alas, alack, it's not meant to be. In terms of a forward kick, she's got about that much. It's not compromised by the skirt, which is like this solid plastic. So that's good. In terms of a spread, a beautiful spread. In terms of a back kick, not really much of anything. It's realistic, I suppose. She has the ball jointed hips, which is common with Black Series figures, and just like Hera, she's missing kind of like that thigh swivel, but again, I think that's so that the sculpting of the legs isn't broken up, so you know, it's whatever. In terms of the knee, she's got a 90-degree bend there, she's got a 360-degree swivel at the knee as well, and in terms of the ankle, she's got inward and outward rocker like that, and then she's got that really stiff up and down ankle pivot as well. So overall articulation is decent, but there are a few places where it is greatly compromised, such as the head. So I've seen better overall. It's still pretty decent, but I've seen better. For a size comparison then, here is the new Ahsoka on the left next to the Siege of Mandalore Ahsoka on the right. Now, in many respects, I think the Siege of Mandalore one is the superior figure. Overall sculpt-wise, I really do like the new one more, but just in terms of your basic posability and the ability to hold the lightsabers, I think the old one is still better. Neither of them stand particularly well. They both have trouble, you know, retaining their posture. But that's how those two look together. Because I mentioned her earlier, here is Jaina Solo. And if only this new Ahsoka had the level of articulation that this Jaina had, especially in the torso, ay caramba, that'd be great, but unfortunately not. Here is Ahsoka next to Hera Syndulla, and they look pretty decent together. Both have similar articulation, especially when it comes to the legs, and yeah, that's them together. Here is Ahsoka with Sabine Wren, her future apprentice. And then here is Ahsoka with Mysterio. So that has been our look at the new Black Series Ahsoka Tano from the middle of the Clone Wars. Overall, I do think it is a good figure. It's just a pity about some of the negatives that I've got, being primarily this lightsaber here and the sculpting of the left hand. It just allows the weapon to fly loose without much effort whatsoever, and it detracts a lot from the overall fun of trying to pose her with her weapons in hand. Also, the disappointment of the head articulation. It's such a shame, considering that this original figure I've got here, well, I say original, the original one was Rebels interpretation, but this previous Clone Wars version of her in the Siege of Mandalore, the head articulation is just so much better, and I fail to understand what went wrong with this one, why it's so compromised on this new release when they had it arguably perfect the last time that we did Ahsoka around about this age. So yeah, I don't know what happened, but it's such a disappointment, really, to be honest. But overall, those nitpicks aside, it's a beautiful sculpt, beautiful outfit, just beautiful look for the character in general. It is, as I said earlier, my favourite interpretation of her, and it cannot be disputed that it's just overall a very, very nice figure. So despite my nitpicks, I do still absolutely recommend her, especially if you are a completionist of the character and want, you know, all the versions of her out there. It's just nice to have this version of her represented in the Black Series and to have a really poseable figure. But yeah, just once again, I do recommend her. She's not without her flaws, but what can you do? There's some compromises that are always going to be made, and at the end of the day, she's pretty good. So thank you everybody so much for stopping by and checking out this review. Like and subscribe if you haven't already, and share it around to help out the channel. And until the next time, see you all later.